What's good, Tsla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I want to talk about what's going on with the overall market, what you should be watching for moving forward. I'm also going to talk about this falling wedge on SPY that is developing right now, how this may end up playing out, and some very important things about what happened in the market today. But before I break anything down about all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things before starting. I'm firstly not a financial planner, so make sure you take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer runs very soon, in just about 5 days, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Alright guys, the market has gone mad looking at the way this thing is moving, looking at what happened to SPY and Tesla and everything going on. So let's just do a quick recap and then break down something very important. I'm also going to give you guys a warning about tomorrow because we have even more big data coming out. But first, what happened today? Right here, we're going to start off up here. We had CPI that came out. Every single thing was as expected or lower than expected. And this is a bullish thing for the market. The market popped after this news came out. We got this big push to the upside. We were expecting this. I called out many of these different levels. But what happened was the market makers knew retail were expecting a pop. They were starting to FOMO in. And they decided they were going to screw over retail. They decided that they're going to, trap the market. And they're going to do something unexpected. And this was what they ended up doing. So they pumped the market very hard. They let the market run the way it did naturally. And then something else happened. The shorts piled in, the sellers came in, and they smacked the market down very, very hard. Now, was this just innocence? You could say that, sure, maybe it was just innocence. Or maybe they knew that lots of people were buying up here, lots of people were just FOMOing into the market, and they did whatever they can to screw them over to collect that liquidity. That seems very probable too. That's a real possibility. And they ended up smacking the market down very hard despite the good news that came out just to get, the liquidity, make money from the opposite end. Because remember, the market makers are taking the opposite positions, and they're the ones that ended up coming out on top. This is all part of their game, and they did whatever they can to cause this drop. This was not expected by me even. I was thinking that the market would hold up a lot better since we got this monstrous pump and CPI was bullish, guys. Typically when CPI comes out bullish, the market holds up very, very nicely. It could even continue to rally. And what happened was when we started to retrace, we'd have to be watching our previous resistances as supports. 450 is what we should have tried to hold above. We actually broke below that. And then that was our signal that it's going to test like 448 or so. And then once 448 broke, that was your signal that, yep, this thing's coming down. And this thing continued to drop very, very hard as critical support broke. But one thing I want to mention is that we're forming a falling wedge on SPY. So there is potential for this thing to try to bounce later on. And let me just break down this pattern now. We have an interesting pattern that is going on in the markets. So if you look at SPY, for example, what tends to happen is if you go back since like Tuesday, right? We had this dump on SPY. SPY dumps down like this. Intraday formed an inverse head and shoulders, then got a bounce for the end of the day. Then for this was for Wednesday, we gapped up very hard, got this crazy dump, then a bounce right back up before we dumped right before CPI. CPI comes out, causes the market to just push up very, very nicely, hitting 452 almost. Then they dump it back down, and I think pretty soon they're going to try to push it back up, but it's not going to be like extremely crazy. All I can really say about this market is that this is a market for scalpers. At least that's going to be one strategy that works very well. For people who are scalping like me, right, we're not really worried about which way the market goes. We just read the trend, get in and get out quickly. That's what I tend to do. It's very hard to take long-term positions in a market like this that's this volatile, going back and forth and back and forth. But like I said before, all sorts of crazy things can happen. Now, I also have a warning for all investors, including the Tesla investors out there. Tomorrow is going to be unpredictable again, just like today, because we have the PPI report coming out tomorrow. And similar to CPI, tends to be a leading indicator for CPI. And this is going to be very impactful for the markets to expect another big move in the morning as the PPI report comes out. When this comes out, expect a big move in the markets, expect some crazy volatility again tomorrow. And we don't know what's going to happen when we open. We could gap up hard. We could gap down hard, depending on what the PPI tells us. For that reason, it's very important to manage risks and to be very careful because who knows what PPI is going to cause tomorrow morning. It comes out 1 hour before the market opens at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. So I'm going to secure almost all my profits at the end of the day. I've already secured most of them already, but I just want to be as clear as possible. This is not financial advice, but I'm just giving you guys a warning. And anyways, when it comes to Tesla now, we got this really nice pump, right? I was talking about 250 on Tesla 252. We reached those levels. It actually hit the levels I was talking about. But because of the manipulation, because of the sellers that came in, they smacked the market down and tried to do what they could to like screw over the people who were holding calls up here. Then Tesla's been dropping since, and now it's testing our critical support zones. So this is what Tesla's looking like. You can see our support right here is around this 244 zone. We also have resistance at 245, very tight between this area. And if we do break above it, we have 246, then we have 247.5 as resistance, then we have 250, and then 252. Below this, we have 242 as the next major support if we break below 244. So make sure you watch these levels very, very carefully. What do I think is going to happen? Well, just like SPY, like I told you, we have a falling wedge that is still forming on SPY. So there's a chance we could get a bounce soon. I'm hoping that this does end up playing out, but there are no guarantees that these play out. Remember, you have to watch for confirmation. You have to watch to see if we get a break above. And seeing how hard the market's dropped, it is due for some kind of bounce. So I do think the odds favor that. But just to be safe, do not assume it's bouncing until we get a break. We have to break above this resistance right here. We need to see some good amounts of buying, and we need to see some strong price action to break out of this falling wedge on SPY. When that happens, I think the whole market's going to move in unison because the whole market did something very similar. Right, on SPY, I was telling you guys about 450 plus. I also told you that if we hold above 448, that's bullish. If we break below it, that's going to be a bearish signal. What happened to SPY? We broke 450. The next level would have been around 452. We came just short of that. And this would have been a very good exit point right here, seeing the rejections and the market starting to trade sideways. This is when I ended up securing profits. And I actually left. I didn't really trade anything else after that. I had like no open options after that. And then the market just like, I returned basically to see the market this down. I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. But then when you look at the market, we have this falling wedge on SPY basically, and now we're testing our next critical support. This thing is just continuing to dump. It's very interesting to witness how they're trying to manipulate these stocks, how crazy this is. And it's a very difficult market, right? You don't expect a crazy dump like this when we had such a strong CPI, a good CPI, right? But anyways, even if this happens, we can't complain about it. We're not going to say the market's bad and this and that. That's a lesson you're going to learn about if you read a book like Trading in the Zone or something. Don't complain about the markets. The market does what it has to do. We just have to react to it, right? We could have went short up here and made a ton of money, and we still have more opportunities coming as I speak. So anyways, looking at SPY, the next critical support is going to be around 445. There are going to be very tight support levels around these ranges, so like 445.5, 445 flat, and below that, then we have the 444 support, 444.8, I believe, is somewhere around there. Is going to be next, from what I remember. But anyways, it's still kind of like free falling a little bit, but it's still also respecting a falling wedge. So I do believe the odds favor some kind of bounce eventually. And it should happen. We'll just see if this continues to hold. I'm going to be watching this falling wedge. Let's hope we try to get some kind of balance because this drop is pretty crazy. It needs to see some kind of reaction eventually. So just watch it very carefully. I am leaning in that direction, and we will see moving forward. For Tesla, here's the thing about Tesla. It's currently testing this support, 244. If it does try to bounce, you're going to be watching these resistance levels, 245, 247, 250. For now, we're just watching and waiting to see if Tesla could get a bounce in the future. But as the market is remaining more bearish, Tesla could come down to this low around these lower levels. It could still drop a little lower, but then I'm going to be waiting for some kind of bounce in the future over the next like hour or so. It should come, so just be very patient and hold on tight. It's a very, very wild market. At least Tesla's green. That's something that is good technically, trying to hold up. And then don't forget that for tomorrow, we have the PPI report coming out. So be very careful if you're trying to hold any positions overnight. This was fun to play intraday, but we're going to be waiting to see if something happens. On Aapl, we're developing a bullish divergence as of right now, but it's still developing. It hasn't really played out yet, so don't assume it's going to play out just yet. We had a very nice pump to about 181, very close to our target. It actually went to 180.75. Then we got this bullish falling wedge that formed on Aapl as well. I was not expecting the market to tank this hard. It was pretty crazy. Now we're going to be looking for some kind of bounce on Aapl soon. Hopefully it holds above around like 178. That's where it has critical support. And below that, we have like 177.8 has some support, but then there's 176 as the next critical level. Some support at 177 as well. So like every dollar for Aapl. So looking for a bounce soon. That's what I think is very probable. We have to wait and see confirmation of a breakout. We haven't seen that just yet. Same thing for the triple Q. We have this, once again, falling wedge-like pattern that is developing. We'll see if this ends up playing out or not. We're going to be watching to see if it could hold 368, then 367.23. And below those levels, we're going to see if this thing could bounce and retest 370, then 372 and beyond. For now, that's what I'm leaning towards, but we'll have to wait and see if we get confirmation. Finally, for the people who are into like Nvda is continuing to look relatively weak. It's been trading sideways since, got a nice pop. We were talking about this thing breaking above 430 at the very least, and I was correct about that happening. But then it ended up breaking below it, and that was our bearish signal. Now it's just trading sideways, so I'm going to be looking for a potential bounce on Nvda. I think it could try to make its way back up to 430 a little bit later on. There's a possibility of that if the market gets that bounce, but it hasn't happened yet. It's very tight, and we're going to be watching it carefully. If 420 breaks for Nvda, we could see this thing sink down to about this like 415 area. Just be well aware of that. We're in the middle for now, but I'm leaning a little bit more bullish, tiny bit more bullish, because it's kind of like it's been dropping for a while and the whole market is due for a bounce soon. We're just waiting for it as the market's downtrending. Yes, we look bearish right now. We're continuing to downtrend, but we're going to be waiting to see if we get a break out of this falling wedge. And once that happens, that's going to be a good signal for us. All right, so thank you all so much for listening. I hope this was as clear as possible. For Tesla, don't forget to wait for some supports to hold before any potential bounces. Watch resistances very carefully. And then last but not least, do not forget about tomorrow. I warned you all about tomorrow. PPI is coming out 1 hour before the market opens. If you want to hold through that, that is your choice, but who knows what PPI is going to cause. If not, if you want to, manage risks a lot better and just not really hold anything, then you are free to do that as well. It's really your choice, okay? Thank you for listening. Have a great day, everyone. Market to the moon, because the long term is very bright despite these short-term fluctuations. Despite how weak Teslas look recently, we're going to be looking to see how these technicals look. And I will most definitely see you guys very soon in the next video. Thank you for listening. Let's watch these technical levels. Let's watch this falling wedge on SPY and see how this plays out. And I'll see you guys very soon for the next video. Thank you and peace out.